Welcome back to the channel Valuable Coins HD, where today we're diving into something that might just be sitting in your pocket right now, the 1974 Roosevelt dime. You may have seen this coin countless times without giving it a second thought, but today, we're going to uncover why this particular dime could be far more valuable than you think. Hold on tight, because this coin is full of surprises. The Roosevelt dime was introduced in 1946 as a tribute to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, following his death in 1945. The design features Roosevelt on the obverse, and on the reverse, there's the iconic torch, olive branch, and oak branch. A simple design, but one that's carried great historical significance for decades. Now, fast forward to 1974, and while this coin may seem like any other dime, there's more to it than meets the eye. The 1974 Roosevelt dime is part of a series of dimes made from a copper-nickel-clad composition. The coin is pretty standard on the surface, it's small, light, and represents just 10 cents in value. However, just like with many other coins, there's always the possibility of hidden treasures lurking in unexpected places. And that's what makes coin collecting so fascinating. You never know when you'll come across something valuable, and the 1974 Roosevelt dime is no exception. What makes this dime stand out? It's all about the rarity, the condition, and most importantly, minting errors. That's right, minting errors are one of the primary ways a seemingly regular coin can be worth far more than you'd ever expect. Let's take a closer look at what could make the 1974 Roosevelt dime worth so much money. One of the most common errors that collectors hunt for is the double die error. This error occurs when the coin is struck multiple times by the press, causing the image to appear doubled. For the 1974 Roosevelt dime, you might find the date, the word Liberty, or even the phrase, "In God We Trust," showing up as blurry or doubled. While this is a rarity, it's exactly the type of mistake that collectors love to get their hands on. If you spot one of these double die coins in your collection, you could be holding a small fortune. Another error to look out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not perfectly aligned during the minting process, and part of the design is cut off or misaligned. Imagine a Roosevelt dime where part of President Roosevelt's face or part of the reverse design is missing or shifted to one side. That's an off-center strike, and these types of errors are highly sought after by collectors because they're incredibly rare and add a unique twist to an otherwise ordinary coin. Besides errors, the condition of the coin is also crucial in determining its value. Coins that are well preserved and show minimal signs of wear are much more valuable than those that are heavily circulated. If you've got a 1974 Roosevelt dime that looks like it just came off the minting press, well, you might want to hold on to it. Coins in mint condition, especially those with unique features or errors, are much more likely to command a higher price at auction or in the collector's market. Now, let's talk about value. When it comes to a 1974 Roosevelt dime, it's all about finding the right error or condition that can push its worth beyond its face value. A regular 1974 Roosevelt dime in circulated condition would generally be worth just 10 cents, but if it has a double die error or an off-center strike, it could easily be worth thousands of dollars. So, how much are we talking about for a 1974 Roosevelt dime that's in great condition or has a minting error? Well, if you have a rare example of this coin, especially one with a significant minting flaw, it could be worth as much as $35,000. That's right, $35,000 for a coin that was originally minted to be worth just 10 cents. It's a prime example of how the world of coin collecting works, where even modern coins can become extremely valuable if the right conditions align. If you're lucky enough to find a 1974 Roosevelt dime with an error or in mint condition, the next step is to have it professionally graded. Getting the coin graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC can provide an accurate assessment of the coin's condition and rarity, which can significantly impact its value. After all, a coin's grade can make a huge difference in how much a collector is willing to pay for it. Now, before you go off searching for your own 1974 Roosevelt dimes, there are a few tips to help you spot the potential value. First, inspect the coin closely for any signs of doubling or misalignment. Look carefully at the date, the word Liberty, and the reverse design. Second, check the overall condition of the coin. if it's well preserved and doesn't show excessive wear, it's worth holding on to. And lastly, if you think you've found something truly unique, it's worth considering getting it professionally evaluated. In conclusion, the 1974 Roosevelt dime is a coin that might look like just another 10-cent piece, but it could be hiding a lot of value if you know what to look for. Whether it's due to a double die error, an off-center strike, or simply being in exceptional condition, this small coin can end up being worth $35,000, and that's a lot of dimes, so take a closer look at the dimes in your collection or spare change. You never know, you might just have a rare 1974 Roosevelt dime worth far more than you ever imagined. Today, we're shining a spotlight on the 1980 Roosevelt dime, a coin that, despite its modest appearance, could potentially be hiding a significant amount of value. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's dive into the fascinating world of coin collecting. The Roosevelt dime, first introduced in 1946, features President Franklin D. Roosevelt, one of the most iconic figures in American history. The design itself is sleek and simple, Roosevelt's profile on the obverse and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. It's a timeless piece of American numismatic history that has been part of our currency for decades. But what makes the 1980 Roosevelt dime stand out from the rest of the series? Well, there are a few things you should know. On the surface, the 1980 Roosevelt dime may seem like just another coin that you've seen a million times, but this coin holds the potential for collectors to make a huge discovery. Minting errors and the condition of the coin can turn a simple dime into something worth far more than its face value. You might not think much about that coin sitting in your collection or jar of change, but sometimes, those everyday coins are hiding a rare, valuable secret. Now, what makes the 1980 Roosevelt dime special? Let's break it down. Like many other coins, the 1980 dime is made from a copper-nickel clad composition. While the metal content doesn't necessarily add to its value, what does matter are the minting errors that can make certain coins stand out. These errors can occur when the coin is struck improperly during the minting process, leading to unique features that collectors absolutely love. One of the most common and highly sought-after errors you could find on a 1980 Roosevelt dime is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck more than once, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. You might notice it most in the date, the word liberty, or even in the phrase, "In God we trust." When a coin has a double die error, it instantly becomes much more valuable to collectors, especially those who specialize in finding and collecting these types of rarities, but that's not the only error to look out for. Another potentially valuable mistake to keep an eye on is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not perfectly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off or misaligned. If you come across a 1980 Roosevelt dime where part of Roosevelt's face or part of the reverse design is missing or shifted, it could be an off-center strike, and these types of coins are highly prized by collectors due to their rarity. Now, let's talk about condition, which is an incredibly important factor when determining a coin's value. A coin in mint condition can make all the difference. If a 1980 Roosevelt dime is in excellent condition, with sharp details and no signs of wear, it will be much more valuable than one that's heavily circulated. Even without any minting errors, a coin in pristine condition is still a valuable find. Remember, collectors love coins that look almost as if they've just been struck, those that are free of scratches, wear marks, or discoloration. If you happen to come across a 1980 Roosevelt dime in that kind of shape, you're looking at a valuable piece of American history. So, you're probably wondering, how much could a 1980 Roosevelt dime be worth? If you've got one with a minting error, like a double die or off-center strike, and it's in excellent condition, then you could be sitting on a small fortune. Coins like these can easily fetch thousands of dollars at auction or from collectors who are willing to pay top dollar for these unique, rare finds. For the 1980 Roosevelt dime, the value can vary, but one thing is for certain. It's definitely worth more than just 10 cents if it has those rare features or is in top-notch condition. In fact, a 1980 Roosevelt dime that has a minting error or is in pristine condition has been known to sell for a jaw-dropping $32,000. That's right, $32,000 for a coin that you would normally just toss in your pocket change jar. Imagine finding one of those in your collection. Of course, the next step is to get your coin professionally evaluated. Grading services like PCGS and NGC can assess the quality and rarity of your 1980 Roosevelt dime, and having it certified can greatly increase its value. A professional grade not only confirms the coin's authenticity but also gives collectors confidence that it's worth the price they're paying. So, what should you do if you think you've got a 1980 Roosevelt dime worth a lot more than 10 cents? The first thing is to inspect it carefully. Look for any doubled features, such as on the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust. If you notice any unusual wear or signs that the coin is off-center, it could be an error coin. Then, check the condition. If it looks pristine, with sharp, clear details, it could be a gem in your collection. And finally, if you think you have something special, don't hesitate to have it professionally graded by a trusted service. In conclusion, the 1980 Roosevelt dime is more than just a 10-cent coin. Whether it's due to minting errors, unique features, or simply being in excellent condition, this small coin can actually be worth far more than you might think. And if you find a rare error coin in mint condition, it could easily be worth $32,000, turning your pocket change into a valuable collector's item. Today, we're diving into something truly exciting, the 1977 Roosevelt dime. At first glance, this might seem like just another coin from your change jar, but trust me, there's a lot more to this dime than meets the eye. In fact, this coin could be worth a small fortune, depending on a few key factors. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just be rushing to check your pockets for this hidden gem. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor the legacy of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away the year before. It features his portrait on the obverse, with the reverse showcasing a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch. It's a beautiful, simple design that's been circulating for decades, but as we all know, even the most common coins can sometimes hold significant value, especially if they've got something special about them. Now, let's zoom in on the 1977 Roosevelt dime. This coin was minted as part of the regular series that year, and much like its counterparts, it's made from a copper-nickel-clad composition. On the surface, it looks like any other dime you'd find in your pocket change, but the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. The key to its potential value lies in the condition of the coin and, of course, any minting errors that might have occurred during production. One of the biggest things to look out for in the 1977 Roosevelt dime is the possibility of a minting error. Minting errors happen when a coin is struck improperly, creating unique flaws or features that make it stand out from other coins. For example, if the coin is struck more than once, you could end up with a double die error. In this case, you might notice that the date, the word Liberty, or even In God We Trust, appear doubled. Collectors go wild for coins with double die errors because they're rare and highly sought after. If you spot a double die error on a 1977 Roosevelt dime, you could be looking at a highly valuable coin. Another type of error you might find is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not aligned properly during the minting process. The result is a misaligned image, where part of the design, perhaps part of Roosevelt's face or some of the text, gets cut off or shifted. These off-center coins are unique, and as a result, they're worth much more than a typical, well-aligned dime. If you have a 1977 Roosevelt dime that's off-center, you might be holding a coin that's worth much more than face value, but don't think minting errors are the only thing that can increase the value of a 1977 Roosevelt dime. Condition is another key factor in determining a coin's worth. The better condition the coin is in, the more it can be worth to collectors. Coins in mint state, or those that have minimal wear and tear, are much more valuable than those that are heavily circulated and worn out. A 1977 Roosevelt dime that looks like it just came out of the mint, with sharp details, no scratches, and clear inscriptions is worth much more than one that's been tossed around in pocket change for decades. Now, you might be thinking, well, how much could my 1977 Roosevelt dime actually be worth if it has an error or is in fantastic condition? That's the million-dollar question. If you're lucky enough to have a 1977 Roosevelt dime with a double die error or an off-center strike, and the coin is in great condition, you could be looking at a value much higher than just 10 cents. In fact, A 1977 Roosevelt dime with the right features has been known to fetch as much as $37,000. Yes, you heard that right, $37,000 for a coin that was originally worth just 10 cents. That might sound too good to be true, but remember, it all comes down to rarity and condition. Minting errors are incredibly rare, especially those that create noticeable, doubled images or off-center strikes. A well-preserved coin, especially one with such a unique flaw, can easily end up being a collector's dream. So, what should you do if you think you might have a 1977 Roosevelt dime with some value? First, take a closer look. Carefully inspect the coin for any signs of doubling in the design or any misalignment in the strike. If you notice something unusual, don't just toss it back into your change jar. Make sure to check the condition of the coin. Is it in good shape with minimal signs of wear? If it is, it's definitely worth holding on to. The next step is to get your coin professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. These companies will examine your coin and provide you with a grade, which will help determine its true value on the market. In conclusion, the 1977 Roosevelt dime is not just another dime you'll come across in your pocket change. If you've got a minting error like a double die or an off-center strike, or if it's in excellent condition, it could be worth far more than its face value. In fact, if your 1977 Roosevelt dime has those rare qualities, you could be sitting on a coin worth $37,000. That's right, $37,000, all from a single dime. So, if you've got a 1977 Roosevelt dime lying around, it might be worth taking a closer look at it. Who knows, you might just have a valuable collector's item on your hands. Today, we're diving into the 2001 Roosevelt dime, a coin that you might overlook at first, but with the right conditions, it could be worth much more than you ever expected. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for this one. The Roosevelt dime, a coin that's been part of the U.S. Mint's regular circulation since 1946, is one of the most iconic pieces of American numismatic history. Its design, with Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile on the obverse and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, has remained largely unchanged for decades. It's a symbol of strength, unity, and perseverance, capturing the essence of Roosevelt's legacy. But despite the coin's familiar appearance, the 2001 Roosevelt dime stands out in a very special way. Could it be just another dime? Or does it hold the potential to unlock some serious cash? Let's find out. First, let's get the basics down. The 2001 Roosevelt dime was minted as part of the regular series, made of copper-nickel clad composition, just like other dimes of its time. However, much like many other coins, the value of a 2001 dime largely depends on its rarity, condition, and whether it has any minting errors. For a lot of people, the dimes they find in circulation are just regular coins. But there's a world of coin collecting where small imperfections or unique features can make a coin worth a whole lot more than its face value. Let's dive into what makes the 2001 Roosevelt dime potentially worth a small fortune. One of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting is the possibility of finding a coin with minting errors. These errors happen when a coin is struck incorrectly during the minting process, resulting in unique features that make the coin highly desirable to collectors. And when it comes to the 2001 Roosevelt dime, there are a few potential minting errors that can greatly increase its value. One of the most popular errors to look out for is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck more than once, causing the image or text to appear doubled. For example, you might notice the word "Liberty," the date, or even the phrase, "In God We Trust," appearing doubled or misaligned. If you spot one of these features on your 2001 Roosevelt dime, it could be a rare find, as collectors highly prize these double strike errors. Another potential error to look for is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, resulting in a misalignment of the design. You may notice that part of Roosevelt's face, part of the text, or part of the reverse design is missing or shifted. These off-center coins are very distinctive and can be highly valuable due to their rarity, but don't think that a minting error is the only way the 2001 Roosevelt dime can be worth more than 10 cents. Condition plays a massive role in determining a coin's value. A dime that has been well circulated and heavily worn is going to be worth much less than one in excellent condition. Coins that are well preserved, with sharp details, minimal scratches, and clear inscriptions are the ones that collectors covet. So, if you happen to have a 2001 Roosevelt dime in mint condition, even without any minting errors, it could still fetch a higher price due to its pristine state. Now, you might be wondering how much the 2001 Roosevelt dime could actually be worth. Well, here's the exciting part. If you're lucky enough to have a 2001 Roosevelt dime that has a minting error or is in fantastic condition, you could be looking at a coin worth a whole lot more than just its face value. While regular, well-circulated 2001 dimes are worth their usual 10 cents, coins with minting errors or perfect condition can be sold for thousands of dollars at auction or to the right collector. In fact, if your 2001 Roosevelt dime has a minting error, like a double die or off-center strike, and is in excellent condition, it could be worth as much as $28,000. Yes, you heard that right, $28,000 for a single dime that's only worth 10 cents at face value. It's an unbelievable find, but it's certainly possible if you're looking closely and know what to look for. So, if you think you've found a rare, valuable coin like this, what should you do next? First and foremost, don't just let it sit in a drawer. Take a good look at the details. Examine the design closely for doubled features, signs of an off-center strike, or any other abnormalities. If you think it might be something special, the next step is to get the coin professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. A professional evaluation can confirm whether your coin is indeed a rare find, and it will also provide a grade for the coin that can help you get the best price when selling or auctioning it. In summary, the 2001 Roosevelt dime is far from just another dime you'd find in your pocket change. With the possibility of minting errors, like double die errors or off-center strikes, combined with the condition of the coin, this small dime could turn into a highly sought-after collector's item. And if you happen to have one of these rare coins, you could be looking at a value of $28,000. That's $28,000 for a coin that was once worth just 10 cents, so, next time you're digging through your spare change, make sure you take a second look at any 2001 Roosevelt dimes you come across. You just might be holding onto something that could change your life. Today, we're diving into one of the most legendary coins in American history, the 1894 Barber dime. This coin isn't just any dime, it's a true treasure that could be worth an astonishing amount of money. So grab your magnifying glass, because by the end of this video, you'll be looking at your old coins in a whole new way. The Barber dime was designed by the famous U.S. Mint chief engraver, Charles E. Barber, and was produced from 1892 to 1916. These coins were part of a larger series, including the Barber quarter and the Barber $50, and they featured Lady Liberty on the obverse, wearing a cap with the word Liberty inscribed on it. The reverse design features an eagle, which is typically seen on many U.S. coins, with a ribbon that says, E pluribus unum. While these coins are known for their classic design and the rich history behind them, the 1894 Barber dime stands out for one reason: it's one of the rarest and most valuable dimes in the world. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1894 Barber dime so special? Well, it all comes down to rarity. Most years of the Barber dime series were produced in large quantities, making them somewhat more common and, in many cases, relatively affordable. However, in 1894, only 24 dimes were ever struck at the San Francisco Mint. Yes, you heard that right, just 24 dimes were minted, making the 1894 Barber dime one of the rarest coins in existence. So, how did such a small number of dimes come to be made? Well, here's the interesting part. According to historical accounts, the 1894 Barber dime was originally minted as part of a special request for the daughter of Adolph A. Weinman, a mint engraver. She was said to have received a few of these dimes as a gift from the U.S. Mint. These coins were never intended for regular circulation, which is why only a handful were made. Over the years, most of them have been lost to time or kept in private collections. But those few surviving examples have become extremely valuable, and the 1894 Barber dime has gained legendary status in the world of numismatics. Now, let's talk about what makes this coin so valuable. First, as we mentioned, the rarity is a major factor. With only 24 dimes in existence, it's safe to say that if you own one, you have a piece of history that's incredibly difficult to come by. But beyond that, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its value. Coins that have been well preserved and are in mint condition can fetch significantly higher prices than coins that are worn, scratched, or damaged. A coin that is graded in extremely fine or mint state condition will be worth much more than a coin that shows obvious signs of wear. Another thing to consider is the provenance of the coin. In the world of rare coins, having a documented history or ownership record can significantly increase its value. A coin with a proven history of being part of a prestigious collection or having been sold at famous auctions in the past is far more desirable to collectors and investors. This adds an additional layer of prestige and desirability to the 1894 Barber dime, making it not just a coin, but a historic artifact. So, how much is the 1894 Barber dime really worth? Well, you might think it's just a dime, but we're talking about a coin that could fetch an incredible amount at auction. In recent years, one of these rare coins was sold for a mind-blowing amount, $188,000. Yes, that's $188,000 for a single dime. That's far more than what most people would expect to pay for an entire collection of coins, but that's the power of rarity and condition in the world of numismatics. If you happen to find an 1894 Barber dime in your collection, or if you come across one in the wild, make sure to get it professionally graded by a trusted coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies will assess the coin's condition and give it a grade, which can determine its exact value on the market. A well-graded coin, especially one with historical significance, could be worth a fortune, but remember, the 1894 Barber dime isn't just valuable because of its rarity. It's also a symbol of America's coinage history and its rich numismatic tradition. It represents a time when the U.S. Mint was still creating coins by hand and minting coins with such meticulous attention to detail that they've become prized by collectors more than a century later. It's not just about the money, it's about the legacy of American craftsmanship, the art of coin making, and the stories that these coins tell. In conclusion, if you happen to come across a 1894 Barber dime, consider yourself incredibly lucky. With only 24 of these coins in existence, owning one is like holding a piece of American history in your hands. And with a value of $188,000, it could be worth far more than just its face value of 10 cents. So next time you're searching through your collection or checking out coins in circulation, remember that sometimes the most unassuming coins hold the biggest secrets. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more exciting coin discoveries and stories from the world of numismatics. Have you ever found a rare coin in your collection? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, happy hunting, and remember, a coin's true value often lies far beyond its face value.